Daniel in Epsom has done just that, and he's on the line right now. Good morning to you, Daniel.
Morning, Julian. I just want to say that tens of thousands of British men, mainly, are going to be going down tomorrow to defend the cenotaph. I think that there's a feeling out there in the country, all across the majority of people, the silent majority. We have a weak, socialist, centrist government that won't act or do anything. The opposition are even worse. I think we've got a useless, weak police force as well. And we've got to a point where the ordinary man in the street, they call us all names, far right and hooligans. It's all rubbish. They're just ordinary blokes who have had enough. We've been telling the government that we want tougher immigration policy for, 25, 30 years? Yeah. We voted for Brexit to try and firm that up. They've done nothing. We've imported FGM, honour killing, sham marriage, suicide bombing, the full veil, grooming gangs. We've now got these protests, and it's the final straw. These protests are taking the you-know-what, Julia. And people have had enough. And
I agree with you. I agree with you. I always find it fascinating when they talk about things like, oh, we need to tackle FGM, or we need to educate, we need to do things like. You think, well, in what communities is this happening? It wasn't happening at my school when I was a kid. Not happening at my daughter's school right now. There's such a dishonesty about this. And this is the thing. I really like Suella Braverman for saying, as one of our texters said, saying the quiet bit out loud. The stuff we're all saying in the pub, we're all saying to our mates at work, and everyone knows, everyone's sane, knows is true. Does she, though, ruin it when she then says, oh, this is like the hate marches in Northern Ireland between, sectarian groups in Northern Ireland? Does she undermine her argument when she does that?
I don't think so. It's just semantics. We all know what she means, right? We can all play with words and talk about, is it right, is it wrong? And while we're doing that, Rome's burning. We're missing the point. The point is, I grew up in London, right? I'm 46. I grew up in SE21. And it was rough. We didn't have a lot of money. But I'll tell you what, it was a lot safer. And it was a lot better. The crime, homogenous countries have the least amount of crime. Most of Eastern Europe, very low crime. Poland, with the least immigration, has the least crime. Japan, another perfect example, hardly any crime. I've seen London change for the worse before my eyes, right? And I've been telling the government, we've all been telling the government for 30, 40 years, we need to stop immigration from the third world. It is ruining our country. And Saturday is emblematic of that. Now, some people might not like it, but the majority of people behind closed doors and in pubs are saying this.
Yeah, and what's interesting actually also is actually recent immigrants, people who, or first generation, often the people, first and second generation, people who are most impacted by that mass immigration. And again, the numbers we're seeing are huge. Impossible for people to integrate and assimilate when people aren't coming in smaller numbers, moving into already established communities and sharing values and beliefs. You speak a lot of sense. Listen, all I want to say is keep yourself safe if you are going there on Saturday, and because you know that people like you are going to be targeted by the police. You need to stay on the right side of the law. No,
we will, of course. I don't think anyone there is going. What it's about, it's a show of force to say, so someone in the government somewhere is going to look down and go, do you know what? We're the Conservative Party, but we're not very conservative, are we?
No.
Perhaps if we acted like a tough right-wing government that the people voted for, perhaps they would win the election by
I don't even think it'd be like a tough right-wing government. I think this is just basic government and basic policing 101. Really, Daniel, I so appreciate your call. Thank you. I think there'll be a lot of people cheering you on right now at home, listening to what you had to say. Let me bring Philip Ingram back in. What was your reaction to that?
Well, I think it shows what Suella Braverman's doing, and the caller turned around and said he agreed with her headlines and bits and pieces. But the trouble is, it's then politicised by the opposition. And once it becomes politicised, it becomes polarised, and it brings in more polarisation. Yeah. And if we've got people feeling as if they have to come into London to defend what's going on and our
that's because the police aren't doing their job.
But because the impression is that the police aren't doing their job, because we're not seeing the police going in with hard arrests during the parades and stuff that have happened so far, but they've done a lot of arrests afterwards. And they have to balance off between stirring more trouble because there's not enough policemen in the streets.